I'm going to be breaking this incredible move down into 3 simple parts to help you simply apply this into your own golf swing. So as you can see, I've got this device here on my lead wrist, which is called the Hack Motion sensor. And this allows me to track my wrist angles throughout my entire golf swing. And this is just a great aid just to guide you into the correct positions as you make your way through the takeaway, backswing, downswing, and all the way through to impact. So the 2 numbers really that we want to be understanding with this device is flexion and extension, because what we see, and this is what builds into stage number 1, is that as we take the club back, we usually tend to see the GX logo with the glove face towards the sky. And what happens here, you can see there's a lot of wrist movement taking place, which encourages the toe end of the club to be almost behind the heel. And as you can see on the screen, that indicates a very much so extended lead wrist position. If I was to make my way back into the golf ball just from here, I've got no chance of hitting that golf ball. Or if I do, it's going to go too far to the right. So I've got to try and conjure up things last minute to make sure that that doesn't happen. And the most common technique that I teach just for this first stage is just simply encouraging this right palm, the trail palm, to face towards the ground. So as soon as I get this trail palm to face towards the ground, and then I just take my left hand onto it like so as well, as you can see now, a big difference in terms of where this wrist angle is. We've gone from very much so extended into a little bit more of a flexed position. This flexion here is what we need at impact to be able to square the club face up if we're wanting to see those hands ahead of the club face, because if we were to just force them like so, we can see there it opens the club face. So we've got to do this action here, as you can see, to close down that face, to square things up. You can just practice that right palm setting and facing towards the ground, just ensuring that your elbow is facing towards the body, tucked into the body as you're making this movement take place. Otherwise, if that elbow faces outwards and it moves behind you, then we start to get a little bit inconsistency with the arm positioning, and we don't want that. The second thing you can do is take that action there and then allow just your club to be gripped at that point. So when we can see this here now, that sets us into that first part of the golf swing. Just for me, it felt like I was just using my shoulder to take my arm, my entire arm, to the right hand to grip the club like this here, and that's all it felt for me. The lead arm stays fairly relaxed, fairly straight, and my right arm, the trail arm, just takes care of that first setting, and that allows me to get that lead wrist into somewhat of a flex position. Now before we move into the second part, if you are enjoying this video and are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Harry, a golf teach professional, posting coaching videos just like this one to help you improve your game. So please do consider clicking that subscribe button. It really helps me out. It helps me produce more content like this, and it's also completely free to do. And taking this up to the top of the swing is actually very simple. Think of what we just did for stage 1, setting that palm facing towards the ground, ensuring that that right elbow is still tucking into the body. We've got this club now set into that position there. Well, we've got this angle set, so all I want you to do from here is rotate. And as you rotate, what you should feel is that the club is moving on an angle that allows this butt end of the club to point at the golf ball as the club reaches the halfway point. Second thing you should also feel is this right wrist is maintaining this hinged position, and the palm goes from facing towards the ground, facing towards this camera here, and then facing towards the ceiling or sky, ensuring that the palm's gone from the ground, facing towards the camera there, facing away from us, moving away into the backswing, keeping that pointing towards the sky. That feeling allows me now to get the GX logo to face towards the sky. Get this lead wrist into the flex position that we had from stage 1, but then building this into a more reliable backswing position as well. We can rotate with a flexed lead wrist. We cannot rotate with an extended lead wrist at the top of the golf swing. You could see there, just a little bonus tip before we move on to stage 3, that my right arm was set in almost a position where I'm a posh waiter at a restaurant holding a set of plates like this here. I'm not going to let those plates fall out. I'm not going to let this right arm of mine, the trail arm, drag away from me, because then I can't hold onto the plates. I'm making sure I can hold onto the plates as I turn and twist into the top of the backswing. Now before we dive into stage 3, once you've combined all these elements into your golf swing, you're going to be wanting to take this out on the golf course, which I would highly recommend you taking a look at my downloadable course management guide. It's an easy, simple to read guide to help you manage your way better around a golf course. I'll leave the link to that in the description below. Just simply go off the video, click on the title, and you'll see the description with all my links there for you to take a look at. Now, stage 3 is pretty obvious. It's all about how we then react from this position, making our way into the downswing and hitting the golf ball. The key has been to be able to control the angle on the way back and work our way up to the top of the golf swing. For the downswing, it remains the same. All we're applying differently is the downswing sequence. Now, the downswing sequence is quite simple. The lower body is active, becomes very active for all of us in the downswing in different ways. But if we're opening up the club face, we're going to react and jump out the way. So when you start to practice this new method, if I was just to set the club face in this position here in the club, you can see there that the actual length of the club, rather than being at this angle, has actually reduced, technically reduced. I know I'm exaggerating this quite a lot, but it has reduced in length. So what you're going to feel like you may need to do more is rotating and staying over the golf ball. And a simple drill that you can use just to help with this part is by taking the club across your shoulders and using your lead hand just to hold on to the club like this here, making sure that that butt in the club is on the lead side. As you rotate into the top of the swing, you've setted it here, setted it up to the top of the swing, and then from here, the first point you want to ensure is that your lead hip is rotating away from the golf ball as your sternum rotates downwards, the feeling of towards your lead foot here. So as you do this action onto the downswing here, look where this hand starts to go. It starts to move downwards as you begin to rotate. This is really, really important. If we bring the club outside of the hands like this here, then I've got no chance of keeping my hands ahead of impact. Then I've got to try and conjure up something again to make that happen. We're just ensuring that that hip moves backwards as our sternum faces towards our lead foot. That allows us to stay over in our posture as we're bringing this hand down into position, keeping the palm facing towards the ground. That allows us to set the club here. Very exaggerated, I know, but it's great to practice, to then load upwards, push upwards into the finish position. Now, there is one thing about this that I wish I knew sooner, because this is something that I've been struggling with, especially this flippy motion on the way through to impact. It's a training aid that allows me to keep that wrist setting throughout my golf swing. Great to help you get the correct numbers with this hack motion here as well. And this is the precision impact. What this has allowed me to do, and a couple of my students do, as I've started to work on this with them, is they can set the angles by clearing that clicking noise all the way into the backswing. And then as they make their way down, well, look at that, I can't get out of that position there. It forces me here to maintain that wrist setting in that right wrist so I can get the wrist into a great position at impact. And look at that. As soon as I get my way into impact here, we can see from the hack motion data that that's -7, -8 degrees in that flexed position. And then I just click it back out, and then I can start to practice that again. So it's a great tool when you want to start increasing speed doing this, to really hold your wrists into that position and force you to rotate more on the way down. It is absolutely fantastic. I've used this and I've seen great results, and also my students have. So if you are struggling that when you start to build this up into all-in-one motion and speed, that you tend to see that early extension and flipping motion of the club, I'd recommend getting yourself one of these, because it really helps you hinge those wrists and maintain that angle throughout your golf swing, forces you then to rotate. So now, bringing in shot shaping, what if you want to draw or fade the golf ball? What changes and how can you apply this part into your golf swing? So fast forward in a couple of weeks, you've worked on this drill, this incredible move that allows you to generate that consistency, but you're finding an ever so slight two-way miss. You're seeing one that goes a bit to the left, you're seeing one that goes a little bit to the right, and you want to try and find a consistent shape that you can play with out on the golf course. Well, the first thing that I would always recommend to anyone that's looking to improve the shot shaping and find a consistent shot shape to play with is, what is your most consistent miss? If it's the one that fade that almost turns into a slice, I'd recommend working the opposite way to encourage more of a draw bias shot shape, simply because it gets you out of those bad habits. And vice versa, if you are a hooker with a golf ball and you see that shot shape as the miss in your golf game, then we want to be working you the opposite way to encourage more of a fade bias shot, because that eliminates that hook out of play. So I've got a swing plate and an alignment stick set on a very similar angle to the way I would address this golf ball. I'm just going to place this a little bit further away into the position, and this is just to show you, by the way, the difference between the fader of the golf ball and the drawer of the golf ball. This alignment stick is set up just pretty much on the inside of the board's target line, so just ever so slightly towards me as opposed to the other side. And that's just going to then help me set my way up into the backswing, and then you'll be able to see the ever so slight change from a draw and a fade ball flight. So if I was just to take the club now and I was to set up into this golf ball, the same feeling applies as we make our way into the backswing, of course. So as we make our way up to the top, we should normally see that the club remains ever so slightly over this line here because it's ever so slightly behind the board's target line. So setting the angle, working my way into the top of the swing. For drawers of the golf ball, if you want to hit that draw, you want to be able to feel this club work underneath the stick as you make your way in the downswing. You want to be attacking that golf ball from this inside path here to produce that draw shape. So as you rehearse the drill from stage 3 of that, where you're setting it up into the top of the backswing, the first move on the way down, you want to exaggerate the arms going down even more so. As you begin to twist this hip around and get this chest of yours working towards the lead foot, you really want to encourage your hands to work towards the right foot. That's going to really encourage the club to work under plane and therefore produce that into-out club path. So, making my way up to the top of the swing, practicing that move there. There you go, big difference, very much so exaggerated on the downswing to really get you working on the inside. Great for anyone getting that slice ball flight. For those of you who are wanting to hit fades, the simple thing that changes is getting to the top of the swing. And as you begin to rotate, the hands are going to work ever so slightly in front of the body just to ensure that the club just goes over the stick on the ground. That's going to encourage you to still shallow the club down on the downswing, not push the club outwards so we get too over the top. So the only difference really with this drill to help you produce draws and fades is exaggerating the feel either way in the downswing. For drawers of the golf ball, we're working up to the top of the swing and trying to feel our hands staying behind us for longer. For faders of the golf ball, we're trying to get those hands working ahead of the body, but only to a point just to ensure the club stays a touch outside of the hands past the club parallel to the ground. Club's pretty much in line with the hands at this point here, parallel to the ground, but then they start to work outwards to encourage that out to win club path on the way through. So hack motion on here just to see what it shows for the wrist angles. Precision impact just makes it easier for me again to hold that angle. You can practice this without it, but it is much easier with it to see results much sooner. Just hitting one shot. Let's have a look at the results. And look at that there. I wasn't expecting to do that first time, to be honest. It's not a shot I'm usually so used to doing. And taking a look at the wrist angles there, okay, I'm in the yellow at the top of the swing, maybe setting my wrist a little bit too much. We're better off seeing that minus number than the plus number if you're looking for consistency in club face control. And then we have a look at the number at impact, +6 of extension. So that just means my lead wrist was ever so slightly this way at impact. We can allow for a touch of that if we're trying to hit a fade because it encourages the face to open, as long as the path is working a little bit more out to in. But I'd much rather see that ever so slightly in the minus. So if you're looking for more information to help you control this club face better, once you've worked on these positions in your golf swing, I'd highly recommend learning and understanding this video over here. Full guide to help you control this club face, whether you're wanting to fade or draw the golf ball. GX Golf are the sponsors of this video who provide high quality golf clubs for a fraction of the price in comparison to their competitors. Recommend checking those out and these two incredible devices if you're looking for devices to help you improve your golf game much sooner. Precision Impact, Hack Motion, links will be in the description below. Just press the title and you'll see all the links there. Thanks for watching and we'll see you over in that video.